I think nothing screams summer more than a zinnia. Most people grow these because they're pretty easy to do. They're also a cut and come again flower, which means you cut them once and more keep coming. It's not like a sunflower where you have one stalk, one flower, and then your crop is finished. Zinnias just keep going, and their color range leaves you to bright and colorful work all the way down to those elevated, soft, muted tones that people are so sought after. So let's take a closer look at these guys. So I think the classic cutting variety of zinnia, this variety of Benary's giant, is typically what people picture when they say a zinnia. But there's a lot more different varieties. So let's take a walk down the row and take a look at some of the different varieties. This is the more common. This is one of my favorites. I love the cactus zinnias. They are super petally. They come in beautiful shades that are totally different than what you think of as a traditional zinnia. They have that ombre effect in many of these. And sometimes you get a little extra. Come down further. So back to our queen series where we are growing them in patches that are color specific. We're wedding florists, so we need lots of pinks. We need lots of really good colors. But there are a couple colors that we grow because we love them and they really stand out. Most people think of zinnias as that bright and bold color, but you actually can get them in muted soft colors. And they also come in whites. Another series that we use a lot in our wedding work that covers kind of that peachy soft hue is the Queen Line series. I mean, they're beautiful, but I wouldn't cut that. One of the ways to tell if a zinnia is ready to cut to have the best vase life, if you're cutting your zinnias and they are not lasting a week or more in your vase, it means you're cutting them at the wrong time. So if I'm looking at this patch, this one, see how the head is super wiggly? It wiggles back and forth. But this one, it doesn't wiggle. Yes, I'm shaking it, but the whole stem is staying the same. This guy, super wiggly. The neck is loose. This one, that one's really young. This guy is ready to cut. So I'm going to reach way down into the plant so that I can get a long vase life. It's okay that some of the side shoots are lost because it's just going to tell the plant further down that it has to keep pushing. We strip the leaves off, and that is probably one of our favorite varieties. But there's a lot of other varieties for us to take a look at. Let's take a walk in another section of field. So what are the things that you have to look out for when you're growing your zinnias? Yes, you can grow a ton of them, but there's a couple things that also really love to be part of a zinnia patch. One of the things to also think about is if you have sensitive skin, reaching down deep and exposing this part of your arm, sometimes these guys are a little fuzzy and it can feel a little itchy. So if you're one of those people that know that you're going to be sensitive, you may want to put on something that will protect your arms when you go into harvest. Another thing that we find is powdery mildew definitely is a zinnia attractant. So you really need to watch your weather and start looking for any of the signs of that disease through your zinnia patch and jump on it as soon as you see it. Powdery mildew looks like little bits of flour in circles on top of your leaves. We'll go through and I'll see if I can find some for a sample to pop up here so you know what it means. Powdery mildew is on top, downy mildew is underneath. So if it looks like you have a powder underneath, that's downy mildew, where powdery mildew is on top. But one of the biggest pests that we face in our zinnia patch is right here. This damage is from a Japanese beetle. A really good way to determine the difference between a disease damage and insect damage. Insect damage is going to actually remove tissue. Your disease is going to damage the tissue. So when you see things that are completely removed, a caterpillar completely removes, where a Japanese beetle will come in and they completely leave the scaffolding. It kind of looks like plant bones when they're done. More little beetles popping out of these guys. So let's take a look at this spot here and figure out what we would cut, what's close, and what we shouldn't touch yet. So this guy standing up nice and tall, still way too wiggly in the head. I can tap that and absolutely know that this is not ready. But looking at these two, I would definitely look at this one. This one you could cut because the stem is nice and stiff the whole way. I would leave this for one more day. This guy, totally solid the whole way through. So I'm going to reach way down into the plant. I'm going to cut, pull this out. I'm going to strip my leaves. And now I have a zinnia that's ready to go. Nice long stem length that gives us versatility for arrangements, farmers market bundles, any other use that we need for this. This flower is now ready to go. Can be used fresh. Some people do dry them. We have found that if you want to retain the best color and you want to retain the shape, as soon as you turn these guys upside down to dry, they're one of the flowers that will actually kind of close on themselves. So what we have found to dry these to keep that great shape is we'll drop them down into some type of wiring or mesh so that it can dry naturally. And then when it's completely dried, then we can take it out and use it if we need to in a dried application. They also are really good in silica. So if you're going to use silica gel to dry them, these guys respond really well to that. It just takes a little while to shake all of that out. Zinnias are awesome. So last week we got a bunch of rain and there were multiple days where we didn't come out and we didn't harvest. And because of that, we're now having to come back through and do what's called deadheading. So when you deadhead a zinnia, you don't have to cut it the same way that you would cut everything else. So I'm looking at this patch. This, I'm going to go ahead and trim off. Why do you deadhead? You do that so that you're telling the plant to keep growing. As soon as the flower goes into the cycle of closing in on itself and basically dying to set seed, you're telling that plant that it doesn't have to flower anymore. So you can trick it by deadheading it. So I would take this one off. I would take this one off. I would take this one off. This one. This one. That one's okay. This one. This one. So if you look really closely while I'm working with this plant, you can also see little teeny tiny guys kind of hopping around and moving in here. See those little guys? They're tiny. It's tricky to see. But if you look and see foliage way down at the bottom that looks like this, and it's called stippled because leaf hoppers have come through and they have sucked the juices out of the plant. They're like little plant vampires. And they're called leaf hoppers because they hop. This guy is not hopping, for example. But you can see him running around.
One of the most important things we do with our zinnias early in the season is pinch them. And I know when you've worked this hard to grow a beautiful little plant, the last thing you want to do is come through and cut the top off. But there's a reason we do it. What I'm doing is taking away the main growing point and telling the plant, instead of putting all your energy into growing straight up, I want you to branch. Right here, the leaves meet the stem are your nodes, and once we remove that center, the plant is going to start pushing new growth for those lower nodes. So instead of one main stem and one flower, I'm encouraging this plant to come bushier and give me multiple long, usable stems. Pinching can delay that first flower a little bit, but for us as cut flower growers, I'm willing to wait because I don't want just one zinnia. I want this plant producing as many beautiful cuttable stems as possible throughout the season. That's the reason we do it.
And that's it for zinnias. Super easy to grow, a flower everybody knows and loves, and one that is durable and lasts throughout the season. I'm Liza the Flower Farmer. Make sure you follow us on our podcast and check out the rest of our YouTube videos where we help you indulge in nature.